What's up, guys? Happy Sunday. Welcome back. Jeff here with FX MindShift. And let me just ask you a question today, guys, okay? Real talk for a second. Are you getting funded by prop firms or are you funding the prop firms? All right? Because if you are tired of blowing evaluations, paying for resets month after month, right? Letting payouts slip through your fingers yet again after coming so close, right? This video today is going to be for you. So, most traders don't fail because they don't have a strategy. In fact, there is not a shortage of strategies on YouTube right now. They're like a dime a dozen, okay? And all of them are promising you the world, right? You're going to be swimming in champagne hot tubs and pulling Lamborghinis out of your ass, next week, right? So, if all of these strategies are so good, why is it that there are still so many people failing and struggling to find consistency? Well, the answer is pretty simple. All right, it's because they don't have the discipline to follow through on that strategy to see consistent results. Okay, so if you've been there, right, if you understand the pain that I'm describing, you know almost better than anyone, right? Almost getting funded, almost getting that payout, and then let it slip through your fingers one more time, right? One emotional setback, one irrational decision that completely destroys the account. Okay, so what I've developed for myself is something called the FX MindShift trading checklist, right? And so this checklist is what has allowed me to get consistent payouts from my prop firms month after month. It allows me to make sure that I'm entering A-plus setups with entry confirmations, right? Based on logic and context, right? And not stupid decisions like entering too early, not waiting for confirmations. It protects my profits and makes sure that I'm getting my payouts every month, right? Now, in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to implement this checklist, right, and the strategy. And if you want a copy of the checklist for yourself, there's going to be a link in the description below where you can download your free copy and implement it, right? So you can get the same results. And if you stick to the end of the video, I'm going to show you a live trade example that I took with my students that implements the steps in this checklist. All right. So without further ado, let's get into the video. All right, so let's break it down real simple, okay? This is the trading checklist, and as you can see, there are 5 steps to confirming the setup here in this checklist. I'm going to go through each of these one by one so you guys can understand exactly what it is that we're looking for, all right? So the very first thing that we need to look for is a higher time frame point of interest, right? Point of interest means that, it could be an order block, it could be an imbalance, or it could be like a key level, previous daily high or weekly high or low or something like that. But basically a point of interest on the chart on the higher time frame, which we would expect price to give us a reaction, right? So that is step 1. Step 2 is we need to look for a liquidity sweep, right? So once price reaches that point of interest, right, then we want to see price sweep liquidity. And if we're bullish, we want it to sweep liquidity to the downside and then go higher. And if we're bearish, we want to see it sweep liquidity to the upside and go lower, right? So we want to see a liquidity sweep at that higher time frame point of interest. That's number 2. Step 3, we want to look for displacement. So when we sweep that liquidity, I want to see price moving away from that area very aggressively with speed and with momentum. So it's going to form an imbalance, it's going to form an engulfing candle, but it's going to move away from that area rather quickly with speed and momentum, right? So that's displacement. Then number 4, we want to see a change of character and or an inversion, right? Now, I have these two together because sometimes you'll see them both, but you may not see them together, always, right? You will get the change of character. You may not get the inversion. Sometimes you get both. If you get both, it just makes it that much stronger. But you'll get a change of character and you'll get an inversion. An inversion basically means an imbalance that is bearish that gets inverted with a bullish imbalance if we're bullish, and for bearish, it's vice versa, right? We'll show you chart examples in a second so you guys can see what I mean by this. And then the last one, which is optional, is divergence. Okay, now divergence, because we're trading futures, I look for ES divergence, right? If you guys are trading Forex or if you're trading commodities like gold, right, you can also look for divergence on similar asset classes that correlate, right? So for Forex, for example, if you're trading EU, then you're going to be looking for GU divergence, okay? If you're looking at gold, then you're going to be looking for silver divergence, right? So this works on any asset class that you trade, even crypto, okay? So you don't have to be trading futures for this to work. This checklist will work on anything that you trade, anything that has a price chart, right? So forex, commodities, cryptos, whatever, it's going to work. Okay, so for us NQ futures, we're looking for ES divergence, and this is optional. You're not always going to get divergence, but when you do, that's what makes this setup an A+ setup. Okay, so you can have 4 out of 5. You can not have the divergence, and it'll still be a very good setup. But if you have the 5th, which is divergence, it's going to make it an A+ setup. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you this conceptually on a diagram first, right? So you guys can understand exactly what it is that you're looking for and what it looks like. And then we can go into the live chart examples, and I'll show you the live trade that I took with my students. Okay, so here you can see I have a diagram, right? Once again, I've reminded you guys what the trading checklist is and what the 5 steps are, what we're looking for. Okay, so again, number 1, we're looking for a higher time frame point of interest, right? Now to the left over here, you can see my higher time frame diagram. So in this case, let's assume that we are bullish and we're looking for price to go higher, right? So here we have a higher time frame imbalance, right, which price trades back into and gives us a reaction, right? So higher time frame point of interest, check. So when we get to that higher time frame point of interest, what we're going to do is we're going to go down to a lower time frame, and then we're going to look for our second step, which is a liquidity sweep, right? Now, since I'm trading futures, I want this to occur at 9:30 or when the market opens. Okay, if you're trading forex, maybe you want it to occur during London or New York, right? And gold, usually New York, right? But for futures, we want it to trade, or we want this setup to occur at the 9:30 open or afterwards, right? Now, here's our higher time frame point of interest. So here is our zoomed in view of the imbalance here that we're getting the reaction from. And that's what this is right here. And so on the lower time frames, we're going to see price give us an accumulation right before market open, right? And then you can see here we have these equal lows that eventually gets swept, right, as we trade into that higher time frame point of interest. So we have a liquidity sweep into our higher time frame POI. So our second step is checked off. Now, third step is displacement. When we get a liquidity sweep here, we're going to see price move away aggressively with speed and momentum, right? We're going to form an imbalance or an engulfing candle, but we're going to move away rather quickly and aggressively. And then what that's going to do is it's going to take us to step 4, which is the change of character / inversion. So here, an inversion and a bearish imbalance will be inverted by a bullish one, right? And then we'll get a change of character here, which the high, which took out this low here, will get traded through, and we'll get a break of structure, right? So once we have that, then we look for our 5th and final confluence, which is the divergence, okay? And that will be, for this case, NQ, we will look for ES divergence. So in here, we want to see ES making a higher low, whereas NQ making a lower low, which gives us that ES divergence, right? And there you have an A+ setup. From there, all you're looking for price to do is react or come back, retrace back into the order block that was formed here, or the inversion that was formed here, and look to take an entry. Okay, so the entry here with our stop just below the sweep of that low, okay, and then we will just be targeting the next high, and hopefully that will give you a 2R, but anything above a 1R will be acceptable, all right? But in this case here, if we can get a 2R, that's going to be the best case scenario, a 2R or better. Right? So that is pretty much the breakdown. So conceptually, you can see this is how it should look, right? Now let's get into the live chart example, and then I'll show you the live trade execution that we took live. Okay, so here we are on the bar replay in trading view, right? The trade that we took and the example that I'm going to show you was a trade that we took on Wednesday, November 26th. So you can see here I have the bar replay rewinded to Tuesday, November 25th. And I'm going to show you a screenshot of the trade that we took with the execution right here. Okay, and you can see here that was the trade. We had the execution here, the stop loss here, and the take profit up here, right? Now I'm going to break this trade down for you so you can see exactly how we entered and how I implemented the steps of the checklist to get that trade entry, right? So let's take this one step at a time. Here we have the daily chart. And the first thing before we do anything is always we want to determine a daily bias, right? What direction are we going to look to trade for the day? In this case here, we have determined that our bias is bullish and that our draw is going to be to trade to this high right up here. Okay, so we're looking for price to go long, and we want to take price higher to this high up here. So let's drop down to the 4-hour chart, and then we'll look for our higher time frame point of interest, step 1. Okay, so here we are on our 4-hour chart, okay, and as you can see, this is our draw on liquidity, and this is what we're looking to target for the day. So we're looking for a bullish setup to trade above these highs, right? Now, we've got a couple of choices here for our higher time frame point of interest, right? So you can see here we have an imbalance here, we've got an order block here, we've got an order block here, right? And so how do we choose which point of interest is going to be our higher time frame point of interest, right? I'm sure that's going to be a question that I get. So what's important to note here is the timing of the second step, which is liquidity sweep, right? We want to see this happen since we're trading NASDAQ futures. We want to see this happen after the market open at 9:30 a.m., right? So right here you can see I'm a little bit early, so I need to actually play price forward just a little bit so that we can get to that 9:30 open. And you can see we actually get a reaction here on this candle, but once again, like I said, it's still a little bit too early, right? Now this candle here is what we're looking for. So if we go down to the 15-minute chart here, all right, so here we are on the 15-minute chart. As you can see here, this is our point of interest right here, that 4-hour imbalance. And right here is where we have our market open, right? 9:30, right? And here's 9:45. And you can see it right here at this time, we're trading into our point of interest, right? Now, here's where we look for our step 2, which is our liquidity sweep, right? We're going to go down to a lower time frame to look for this liquidity sweep. All right, so down here on the 1-minute chart, as you can see, this is our liquidity being generated just before market open into our higher time frame point of interest right here, right? And so you can see price is trading into it after market open, after 9:30, into our higher time frame point of interest. Now what we're looking for is we're going to be looking for what? A displacement, right? So number 3, displacement. Let's play price forward. Okay, and as you can see, we have a nice reaction and a nice displacement to the upside. Then we're going to be looking for our change of character or inversion, right? So you can see here we have change of character where we have down close candles here failing to go lower and then trading above, right? And then also we have an inversion. We have a bearish imbalance that gets inverted by a bullish imbalance here at the same time, giving us the change of character, right? So there we have step 4. And then lastly, we want to look for a divergence. Now, this is NQ, so we want to look for a divergence on ES. So we're going to pull up the ES chart here. Okay, and I want you to pay attention to the lows, right? So you can see here, ES, there's a low right here, and there's a low right here. On ES, this low is a higher low. Okay, now if we draw a line back to NQ on that same low, right, what you'll notice is that we have this low and this low, but on NQ the low is lower, right? So you can see here a lower low on NQ and a higher low here on ES. That is what we call a divergence, right? So we have all 5 steps now confirmed: higher time frame POI, liquidity sweep into that higher time frame POI. We have a displacement, we have a change of character, and we have an inversion with a divergence. Okay, now all of those things tell us that this is an A+ setup. So now what we want to do is we want to see price retrace back into the inversion or back into the order block where the swept occurred, right? So this would be our entry right here, watching price come back to this OB. Okay, our stop is going to go right underneath the low, right, about 50 points, and then we're going to target the next high, okay? And this should give you a 2R, okay, like I said, but if you get a 1R or better, that's also good, right? So this is going to give us a 2R trade, right? And let's watch how this plays out. Okay, triggered in, price chops around a bit, but then eventually gets to our take profit right here, okay? And that is pretty much what you're looking for, right? And this is how the checklist is going to make sure that you're taking A+ setups and making sure that you always get in on the right side. Right now, as promised, I'm going to show you the live execution of this trade that we took in the live session. So I'm going to show you a video clip of that right now and show you how we also implemented the checklist to get this trade set up in this result. Okay, this is the trade. Now I've got change of character, I've got break of structure, I've got this last down close here, respecting price, pushing price higher, and so I want it to come back into this order block here. Okay, I'm tagged in. That's the entry though. Trading back into this OB, and now we target the upside. So at the very least, right, we want to target this high. So we're looking at 2R just on that, right? Our stop down here is about 50 points. So we'll target a 2R here, and then eventually we're going to target this high as well. Here's the next OB imbalance level. Next order block level. Oh, I was just talking and it hit. There it goes. Boom. Jackpot. All right, so there you have it. Exact breakdown of this trade, live execution, right? Exactly how we implemented the steps in the checklist to catch this beautiful 2R setup. All right, so there you have it, guys. Live entry, live trade example and execution, how we break down the checklist, right, and get our setups and make sure that we're taking A+ setups so that we get results like this. If you guys are interested in also trading live with me and my students, okay, I break down trades like this every single day, right? I'll show you exactly how to implement the checklist in the strategy, and you can catch setups like this with us live every day. There's going to be a link in the description where you can join the VIP. Click on it, join us, start getting results. So if you use the checklist, you guys will stop failing evaluations, you guys will get your payouts, all right? And you can do this live with us every day in the New York session. Link in the description below. That's going to do it for this video, guys. If you guys enjoyed this, please give me a like and a subscribe, and let me know in the comments below what you think of today's video. All right, guys? That's going to do it. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. I hope you guys have a great Sunday, and we'll see you guys on the next video.